Right, let's have a chat about the Saturn core today, on MiSTer, obviously. It's been in development for some time now, and like most of you, I've been following every tantalising sneak peek from the maestro himself, Sergei Dvodnenko. Of course, our thoughts are with him and his country and everything they've been through and everything they are going through right now. In spite of the ever-looming shadow of war, SRG 320 has continued to work on the Saturn core, and in the past few months has made test builds public for us to have a little mess around with. And I have to say, we're at a point now which seemed so far away just a few months ago. Indeed, even us lowly peasants with just a single board of RAM can get in on the fun. And that's what I'll be testing it with today. 1 RAM, fam. So join me as I try out 100, that's a lot, 100 Saturn games with the latest, as of this video, build of this promising MiSTer core. Let's go. Originally, I wasn't even planning on covering the Saturn core at all until it was a little further along in development. But once I started messing around with it, I couldn't stop. It was sort of addictive. Besides, the core is at a good point now for us to form some baselines and more formally track its progress going forward. The test library I'm using is a USA redump bin Q set. It's possible you could have different results with this from different regions. I'm no expert, but I wouldn't have thought it'd make much of a difference. Now obviously I couldn't cover every USA Saturn game. Well, I could, but I haven't got unlimited time in the world. So of about 250 total, I've done about 106. I could do more. If you want me to do more, I'll do more. I probably will do more, just give me some time. But it's a start anyway, and something that can be built upon. I made a spreadsheet with my findings, albeit concise, so I can filter down the results into something more manageable and useful, rather than it do work or it do not work. And I do intend to update it with each subsequent core release. Now, a couple of caveats before I get into it. This is a really early build, like it's a test build, it's not even alpha. Sergei has noted there's still quite a lot of things to work on, including the Yamaha DSP chip, that's digital signal processor, I think. There's limited buffer size and Gorod shading on VDP1, as well as PAL interlaced line screen and mosaic features on VDP2. So I won't comment too much on that. Needless to say, sound doesn't work especially well in any title, and there's graphic issues across the board pretty much. Some games fare better than others, but most, if not all, have issues. So with all that out of the way, let's look at the results. First off, I've filtered down those games which I tested that didn't boot at all. And I'm considering a boot any game that displays something after the Sega logo. Here we have the likes of Alone in the Dark, Area 51, Die Hard Trilogy, and heavy hitters like House of the Dead, Manx TT, and Virtua Cop. These games literally present with a black screen upon boot, so therefore I'm classing it as a non-booting game. So that's 12 games down right away. So next, let's take a look at games that do boot, but don't quite make it to the main menu. In my testing, I'm counting these games that do something after the Sega boot logo, but in most cases that something is to simply hang or get stuck in a weird haunting loop. Here we have Daytona Championship Edition, Decathlete, Guardian Heroes, Need for Speed, Resident Evil, Saturn Bomberman, Virtua Fighter Kids, and a handful of others. A total of 18 games fit into this category. So that takes us about 30% through the tested games. So the next column here is whether or not it gets to the main menu. So it boots and gets to the main menu. And it's actually where things get a little more interesting. Some games get to the menu, but that's all you get. It either hangs there or when you attempt to launch the game, it crashes. Titles like this include 3D Baseball, Battle Stations, Panzer Dragoon, Sega Ages, the one with the incredible Outrun port, Virtua Fighter 2 and Wipeout. And thankfully The Crow, I was genuinely worried I might actually have to play that. So that's another 17 games down. Next, I'll take a look at those games that are playable but are likely to crash, at least in my testing. A smaller list now, but remember these are playable, so you can have a go if you want. And whilst you may get 10 minutes, you're almost as likely to get 10 seconds. It varies from game to game, but at least it's something. Standout games in this category are Alien Trilogy. It looks and plays really nicely, but as soon as you try to discharge your weapon, the game freezes. Burning Rangers. This clearly suffers from frame buffer and shading issues, but will also crash after a few minutes. Aside from that, the game is running nice and fast. Command & Conquer plays well, but will crash at the end of the first mission. Daytona USA has clear graphical issues, but also plays well, and crashes. Return Fire. This is a beta I got hold of a while back, a port of the 3DO game. I tried this with the previous release of the core and it didn't crash, at least for the few levels I tested. With the latest version of the core, it crashed pretty quickly. Probably just an anomaly, so I'm not reading too much into it. Sonic Jam. You can run around a bit in Sonic World, but when you enter the buildings, things go awry. Yeah, it crashes. And WWF in your house. I really wanted this to work, and it's still worth firing up just for the 90s FMV alone. That thing is bonkers. I mean, the game itself runs well, but it will freeze after some time. So that's 12 games that are playable, but likely to crash. Bringing the total number of games tested to 59. 59, dude! So before I get onto the Saturn games you can get some good playtime out of, there's an odd category here of games that boot and you can get into the game, but are still unplayable. Of the 106 games tested, only 5 are here, and for a variety of reasons. Double Switch. This FMV sort of Night Trap but not Night Trap game from Digital Pictures kind of works, but the biggest problem is the lack of sound, sadly making it unplayable. Or not sadly, if you don't like the game. High Octane. It boots fine and runs, but major graphical problems make this a non-starter. I thought I'd be okay with Rayman, because I thought I'd seen it demoed before on the core. Maybe I haven't. But it gets to the title screen and won't let me press start. I'm assuming if I was able to press start it would run, because everything up to that point seems to indicate that it would, but it doesn't. At least I can't press start. True Pinball and Virtual On also fit into this category. So another 5 tested. That brings the total tested to 64. On to the main event, games that are playable. The biggest category of them all, in fact. Well, at least they're playable and they didn't crash in the short time I spent with them. Your mileage may vary. Yeah, 42 games. 42 out of 106. That's not bad. That's like 40%. Yeah, not bad at all, especially for a test build like this. Stellar stuff. Standouts here include popular Saturn titles like Bug, Nights into Dreams and Christmas Nights, Die Hard Arcade, Earthworm Jim 2, Clockwork Knight 1 and 2, Virtua Fighter and Remix, as well as my favourite, Sega Rally Championship. So, if we take those percentages and use rabbits to represent each game, bunnies with carrots are games that are playable and don't crash. Those with red eyes are rabbits that have myxomatosis, representing games that are playable for a bit, but will eventually die. And the other rabbits have been eaten by foxes, representing those games that can't be played. I'm sure with subsequent releases, more bunnies will live on. We can only hope. So I'll end the video here with a few seconds of each of the 42 playable, non-crashing games coming up. I'll leave a link in the description to the spreadsheet so you can filter the results for yourself. If you found this video useful, let me know in the comments, and if you want to see more of this and other video game shenanigans, subscribe to the channel, please. I don't need to tell you that. You're all smart people, apart from you, Brad. But you're the cleverest. And without further ado, here's the 42 playable rabbits with carrots. Enjoy.